Hello, so welcome back, and this video we're going to look at asteroids, how to add them and get them drifting across the screen. So first of all, I've been on the internet and found myself an asteroid. So this file is just a small asteroid, transparent background. I've got a dark space background on my game, so I've got a white asteroid, and if we just look at the size, you can see that it is not that option. Image properties, that's the one. That is about 120 square. Okay, so that's the asteroid which will be loading on the screen, and it's called asteroid1.png. Okay, so on this code so far we have a ship sprite. That is a physical ship. So by the same token we can create an asteroid. Now this asteroid is also a sprite, and likewise it needs to have the essentials, and the essentials is essentially that, and that just sets it up to be a sprite. We'll need an update method as well, and that just tells it what to do every frame when it's called, in the same way that we got the update here, although we won't be using the key handling. Okay, so here we've got the start position, the direction, thrust rotation, and then we've got the image, and we can do very similar here. So an asteroid will have an X position, an asteroid will have a Y position. An asteroid, let's just start off at 0, 0. An asteroid will have a direction, and let's start that off at 45. Okay, we also have the image. So let's start the image and the rect. Now every sprite which you have, it needs to have .image, which is what it will put on the screen, and .rect, which is where it will put it on the screen. Okay, that is that done. Actually, I'm going to change the X and Y to be 300 by 300, so it appears in the center of the screen. So this has given us a simple template for an asteroid. What we need to do now is actually create one. So let's go down to our main code, and at the start of it, before we enter the game loop, we're creating a ship, and we're adding the ship to all sprites. What we can also do is create an asteroid and add that to all sprites. Okay, let's see what happens with that. We've not added much, but see what it does. Okay, it's put in another ship because I made a mistake in that I said that the image for the asteroid is a ship, which makes no sense. Asteroid 1. So it will load asteroid 1 at 300 by 300. There we go. So we've got an asteroid sitting there at 300 by 300. It's not moving, it's not doing anything fancy yet. So to get it moving, we'll have to update some things every single frame. And what we've got is similar on here. We've got a rotation, direction, and we've got an X and a Y position. And we'll need to potentially redo the image and the rect. So let's just take this code for the time being. Okay, so self.x is the thrust times the cosine of the direction, and the y is the thrust times the sine of the direction. We got direction at 45, so let's add in a thrust. And this thrust is going to be a static value. It's not going to change, because your asteroid is just going to be continually floating across, and it doesn't need to change direction, so we can take that out. Okay, we'll need to take this line. Now this tells it again where the new position for the rectangle, where it should be drawing it on the screen is. Now let's have a look at that. So we've added 3 lines, and we've gone from a static asteroid to an asteroid which zips off the screen. Seems a bit fast for my liking. So let's change the thrust amount, and let's start let's change that to 105. Okay, let's have another look, see if that's a bit nicer. There we go, so that's the asteroid just floating gently across the screen. Awesome! That is pretty much done. Now what we can do, if we feel fancy, is instead of the direction being 105, we can randomly pick a direction. Instead of it starting on 300 by 300 all the time, we can start at a random position along the edge. Now, if we look at our screen, we've got 0, 0 here, 800 by 0 here, 0, 600 here, and 800, 600 here. When we randomly generate, yes, you could theoretically generate it anywhere on any of the edges. However, if you have the code where if the asteroid goes off this edge, it comes on this edge, as it was instructed for the ship, then you only need to generate the asteroid on one of these 2 edges. So you can just do a selection, is it going to be top edge or left edge, and then you know which one is going to be 0, then the other one is going to be a randomly generated number. And because we're using the randomly generated, because we're using the constant screen x and screen y, we can just use those variables in our random picking. So that should pick that. Another challenge for you, if you feel up to it, whoops, add rotation, so it gently spins through the air. It's not really necessary, it just makes it look a bit snazzier. But also what we need to do on here, which is a bit more important, is to make it so if it goes off one edge of the screen, it comes back on the other. Much like we've got, or we should have, for the ship. You can see the code there. Okay, that is pretty much everything in terms of getting an asteroid working. Now the next stage is a bit more down here. Now we've created an asteroid and we've put into the all sprites group. That means when we do allsprites.update and allsprites.draw, it handles the asteroids as well. Now what we want to do is to create an asteroid every however many seconds. And we can do that in here. So I'd recommend in there okay, so that can be done with the time module. So if I just open Python 3 there, I can import time. Now the command time.time gives the current time in seconds with decimal places. So what I can do is I can set A is, let's give them some more sensible variable names, then equals time.time, now equals time.time, and then if we print now minus then, we'll see that that was 3.7 seconds passed between those points. So we could do if now minus then is greater than 2, you know that more than 2 seconds has passed. And I would hope it has by now. There we go, more than 2 seconds have passed. If I run that, not more than 2 seconds had passed between me running that command and that command. So you can do very similar in order to figure out, should I run this code, has 2 seconds passed. You'll then be resetting the then. It's a bit of a challenge. See if you can figure out how to do that. However, what you need to do once you've decided that you need to create a new asteroid is exactly the same as we got here. Now this won't work quite right because this will create a new asteroid every single time, which may get a bit crazy, but let's have a look, see what it actually does. So that's created so many asteroids. It's just creating a new one every single frame. And if you think a game may be 30 to 60 frames a second, that's a lot of asteroids it's creating. So you'll need some code to make sure that that doesn't create at every frame, but that's the general gist. There's your hint. Okay, so with those minor things, so just getting this one working, then your program will be running, getting the start position and the direction coming up randomly, and getting it so if it comes off one side of the screen then it comes off the other, and suddenly it will look like a pretty decent game. So get that sorted. Next we'll do a little bit of admin and then get started on shooting.